You're listening to a production of SportsLink Digital Radio.
Cloudy skies and the cold wind make for beautiful Saturday softball here in Muncie, Indiana. It's a doubleheader. The Ball State Cardinals playing host to the Toledo Rockets. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Roen, Elbert, joined by my partner Dylan Budd. So much happened yesterday. Originally, yesterday was the doubleheader, and that's exactly what we got. The Cardinals take Game 1 in commanding fashion, 13-8. However, we move on to Game 2, where things were not as straightforward. An 8-run top of the second for the Toledo Rockets made it 8-0. We were approaching mercy rule talks. However, 12 runs in the bottom of the fifth for the Cardinals. They took command. However, the Rockets responding right back in the 8th inning with 5 runs of their own. But now here we are. We're going into extra innings, 14-14. We finished Game 1 after it got suspended due to a lack of light. Dylan, what is your biggest expectation from both teams?
I think given an opportunity to spend another night here and be able to unwind and look at what happened in these past 2 games, it gives both teams a chance to kind of take a breath. This is why we call it Maction. We are up here with the top of the 8th set to begin at a 14-14 score, 28 combined runs between these 2 teams. It gives both squads an opportunity to relax a little bit, be a little bit more calculated. Where we saw yesterday, it was a lot more aggression right from the get-go, and it cost teams at times, but for both of them as well, they were able to capitalize. We see a 12-run 5th inning explosion from these Cardinals, 8 runs in the second from the Rockets on their own. It's just going to see who makes the better decisions and who is more calculated, and that team is going to come out on top and win this game.
It's interesting, though, because the momentum, that's what I thought about last night as I was reflecting on yesterday going into today, is that what about the momentum for either team? How much do you think that has swayed in the previous 12 to 15 hours that we've been waiting?
So I would say Toledo had a little bit more of the momentum at the end of yesterday, considering they had 5 runs in the top of the 6th. Ball State did respond with 1 to tie it up, 0s across both teams in the 7th. So I would say that Toledo has the momentum, considering they scored pretty heavily most recently in comparison to Ball State. But now, like I said, having taken a night to be able to reflect, these Cardinals are playing hacky sack right now. They're not too worried about the high stakes. Both teams are coming in with fresh eyes, with an open mind, and starting as if it's 0-0.
And just a little refresher of where we're at in the MAC standings. Remember, last season, the Cardinals and the Rockets met in the postseason. Ball State ending Toledo's season. In the preseason poll, Cardinals were picked to finish 4th. Toledo picked to finish 3rd. Both teams kind of the inverse of each other when it comes to living up to those expectations. Toledo, they are 11th in the MAC right now. The Cardinals are 3rd. So right now, at this point, Toledo, they're looking to bounce back, especially after losing Game 1 against the Cardinals. But at the same time, you're getting back one of your best players in Eli Enriquez, who was out for over a month and a half up until yesterday. What does Toledo need to do? What kind of desperation do they need to play with going against the Cardinals in this game and the next one?
Well, you mentioned Enriquez coming back after a month and a half. You lost the starter. With any college program, you're going to come in with new starters, new faces, and every year you have to develop a new team culture. It might be pretty similar to ones of years past, but there will be new installations as this team goes on, especially with 2 young coaches in Bracamonte and Pena. With Toledo, I just think they need more time together. This is a team that clearly has high potential, high enough to where they were projected to be 3rd in the MAC. They just have to live up to those expectations, and they can do that by having more time together and being able to play to each other's strengths. And they've struggled with that right now. Their MAC record, as of right now, is 1-4 with an overall record of 6-8. In comparison, Ball State is 4-1 with an overall record of 18-7. Another thing that's hurting Toledo really badly right now is their struggles on the road. They are not road warriors. BSU comes in with that 18-7 record. 17 of those wins were not here. Toledo is 0-6 on the road right now. Hopefully they can change that today and change their outlook on the season. But if you're going to want to win games, they really have to win some on the road, especially considering their next games. They have a home series against Akron, but then they travel to Miami, then they travel to Michigan State, and then they take a road trip to Ohio. So the 1 and 2 teams in the MAC respectively, they're going to have to figure out how to win on the road to be able to get back into the conference.
Indeed they do, and luckily for the Cardinals, they have quite a bit of experience being on the road. Yesterday, oddly enough, was their home opener, but I would say the 23 games they played on the road, well worth the wait.
Certainly. The Cardinals have done such a great job with being able to rein it in on the road. That's a lot of travel on a team. They obviously will come back here between series, but that's a lot of bus rides. It's a lot of flights, and that can take a toll on a player's body, especially with so many road games throughout the season. It's unfortunate that their home opener against Purdue Fort Wayne earlier was canceled, but they've capitalized on this home opportunity, and they hope to continue to do so. Up next, they're traveling to Indiana State, then Bowling Green. They have a home series at the beginning of April against the Northern Illinois Huskies, and then they go down to Kent State. So competition isn't too intense just yet, and Toledo, with their struggles, I would say the same towards them, but it's a chance for these Cardinals to get more time together and rein it in before they play some really good teams like the Miamis and the Ohios of the conference.
I do want to say one thing, and I think everybody can hear it. This wind is heavy right now, and I wonder how much that's going to impact both of these teams. The main question is fly balls. You see it blowing softly now with the flagpole out in dead center, off more towards the left. That is pretty hitter friendly. So maybe more offensive firepower in the game one so far, potentially.
And it was a lot of wind yesterday as well, and a lot of balls that normally wouldn't get over the fence went over the fence. It's why we had a combined 5 home runs in the first game, 4 of them being from Ball State, and that's what led them to winning the first contest. But it's 47 degrees right now in Muncie, Indiana, with a real feel of 43. That doesn't account for the wind. Right here on our broadcast booth, it feels like a wind tunnel. And that's the same for everybody else in the stands, and probably similar to these players on the field. There's a little bit of wind to the right, so we might see some righties starting to hit a little bit more right, starting to hit a little bit more center. If they're pull hitters, we might see them spurse out their hits a little bit more. I would expect to see that. And then lefties, if you're a lefty pull hitter, you've got a really great shot of getting one over the fence and right.
Well, for Toledo, they've got one in Eli Enriquez, their leadoff hitter. So really for both teams, you don't see a lot of lefties in their lineup. I think really for both teams, really only a combined 2 lefties on in their lineups, at least for this weekend series from what we've seen so far. It should be interesting how much this is going to affect fly balls, like we mentioned. But now, 14-14 our score. We are in the 8th inning. These teams, they've had the opportunity overnight to kind of reset in a sense. Do you think there is any kind of momentum for either team? Do you think any of that is kind of lost from game one?
I think a lot of it is lost. Ball State can come in with their heads high, knowing they won the first game, and they have a great chance to win the second. So does Toledo. They can shift their momentum and say, hey, we've got a really great chance to come out here, get our first road win, and then they could come into this second game with a lot of momentum. But as for Ball State, I mean, we've seen them right now. They're still, some of their players are doing some hacky sack. They're just having a good time, and that's one of the things that makes this team so good is they have such a great community, and they not only play so well together, but they're all friends on this team. And it's because they have a lot of time together. They can sit here and play hacky sack and goof around, but when it matters most, it means they'll play for each other. And that's one of the reasons why Ball State is at the top of the Mid-American Conference right now.
Exactly. That bond that this Cardinals team has, you can see it in pregame stuff like that. You can see that this team has a special bond. My number one question for you, Dylan, however, how are you going to stay warm today?
That's a great question, Roen. Before game, I had to go back to my dorm, get another hoodie, get another sweatshirt. So 4 layers on top, 2 layers on the bottom. Still a little bit of a struggle, but it's all right. You know, we live and we learn. I'm just here for a great game. This is going to be a lot of fun. weather doesn't matter. We're in for some great softball ahead of us, and that's what matters most.
We wouldn't have it any other way. We will be right back with the first pitch after a quick commercial break. You are listening to Ball State Softball right here on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie.
So just how big is the Mammoth Pizza at Mancino's? How about a big 24-inch round pizza loaded with all of your favorite toppings? Made to order just for you when you call 287-1300. The perfect size for the big game, the next game, or any event that demands not only the best, but the biggest pizza you can order. And Mancino's is ready anytime. Call, wait 10 to 15 minutes, then head to Mancino's for pickup. Man, is it good. When a large pizza isn't enough, you need at least one Mammoth from Mancino's.
Pepsi Zero Sugar has a new, better flavor. A Zero Sugar Cola has never tasted this good. But we don't expect you to take our word for it, so we're putting it to the test. Starting with me. My mouth is watering already, so I think we can skip the drum roll and get right to the main event. Cue the fireworks. We have an official best Zero Sugar ever. It's delicious, it's refreshing, and it's so good you'll need to try it for yourself. Trust me. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero never tasted so good. That's what I like.
Standards. High standards. That's what sets teams apart. It's also what sets us apart at Pridemark Construction. We're not alone in holding our standards high. Ball State University is among those who do. That's why we're proud to sponsor the Ball State Athlete of the Week. High standards in everyday performance is everything in sport, as well as business. Join us in our pursuit of excellence. Join Pridemark Construction for your next building project and in our support of Ball State University's Athlete of the Week.
For the best stories, access, and coverage of Ball State sports, follow SportsLink on social media platforms Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Search @BSU SportsLink.
American Pest Pros is the official pest control partner of Ball State Athletics. We protect your home or business and guarantee year-round protection from insects and pests. Ask about our Ball State special, available to all Cardinal fans. Our pest control program is the safest and most effective in the industry. Even if you tried a different service and it didn't work, we'll fix your problem, guaranteed, or your money back. Visit AmericanPestPros.com. That's AmericanPestPros.com. And don't forget to ask about our Ball State special.
Your home for live Ball State sports, streaming right in your timeline.
This is Sports Link Digital.
Ball State fans, who needs batteries? Your locally owned Battery Masters have batteries for cars, boats, golf carts, cell phones, watches, key fobs, Papergo toys for kids, and more. Bring your rechargeable batteries back to life for drills, shavers, dustbusters, and more. All Ball State fans receive a free battery checkup. Just mention Charlie Cardinal. Battery Masters is conveniently located on the corner of Walnut and Centennial, next to Mini Trista. Check us out online at batterymasters.com. Go Cards!
We are back from Ball State Softball Stadium. We are just about to get underway here, top of the 8th action between the Cardinals and the Rockets. Ball State with the all-red uniforms with white lettering, black trim. Toledo going with a different look as well. All gray uniforms with blue lettering, a little bit of a black trim. And leading us off will be Madison McKay for the Rockets, and she homered her last time around with Whitney back out there after pitching a complete game in Game 1, and then Game 2 of this series going a bit longer in the bullpen coming in for Brianna Severino. What do you expect from her with a little bit of rest overnight?
Whitney had a bit of a struggle in Game 1, Roen, but yesterday she didn't do all too hot either. She gave up 1 home run in 1.2 innings pitched, 3 hits in that time, 1 run. It looked like a solo shot from Toledo, but with a little bit of rest, it's certainly going to help her to be able to regroup for herself. And in such a high-stakes situation, you've got to go to your number 1. Whitney is the number 1 for this team. She's not just the best pitcher on the Cardinals. She's one of the best pitchers in the MAC. If there's anyone that's going to be on the bump for these Cardinals, Helen Pena can have the most trust if Ella Whitney's out there.
Something to note, though, Michaela Timmons, she did exit yesterday's game towards the end after she was running on the base pads. She's not out there starting at catcher. She was there in gear. However, it's going to be Gabby Evans behind the dish for Ball State. So we've lost the Cardinals, losing Timmons there, but moving forward with Gabby Evans, the former Michigan State Spartan.
Gabby Evans usually in left field. A lot of times she'll come in as a pinch runner. I anticipate that was a substitution made by Pena, thinking they can get out of it. But losing Timmons, who's such a threat as a batter and great as a catcher as well, is going to be detrimental to this team. Timmons is someone who yesterday on her first pitch nailed a home run and since then got walked every single at-bat. There was probably 2 strikes on the day thrown to Timmons because she's that good of a player. She's not only the best catcher for the Cardinals, she's the best catcher in the MAC, and I think she's one of the best catchers in the country.
First pitch from Ella Whitney to Maris Barbado. The right-handed batter is inside for ball 1. We begin 1-0. Ella Whitney, she shakes off a pitch. Now she sets it up. The 1-0. Up high, just a little upstairs for ball 2.
Not a great start from Whitney. I know it's only 2-0 on the first at-bat, but getting ahead in such a high-stakes situation that you're coming right into after a night's rest is so big. And to be down 2-0 and be behind in the count already could pose to be an issue for Whitney.
Command was an issue yesterday. 2-0 delivery. Upstairs yet again, she starts 3-0 on Barbado. So far today, Maris Barbado, the catcher, she's 0 for 2 with 2 walks.
She's done a great job at playing fastballs, though, and when you look at Whitney on a 3-0 count, the obvious call would be a fastball down the middle. You got to have something in the zone. I wonder if Toledo will give Barbado the green light to swing here.
The 3-0 pitch. There it is, catching it on the bottom half for strike 1. A good recovery pitch right there for Ella Whitney.
Certainly, great pitch, able to paint the outside corner, and now it's a chance for her to try and work back in this count, maybe get something that Barbado can chase, make it a 3-2 count, a lot more optimal for these Cardinals.
3-1 is elevated into right center field, getting down towards the wall. Barbado rounding first, thought about second, but she stops in her track. Good cutoff from Peter Zach over at second base for the Cardinals. A leadoff single for Maris Barbado and the Rockets here in the top of the 8th.
Nice hit by Barbado to be able to get it into the gap, but we already see wind playing a big factor. It looked like a shot that was going to be a lot more in right center, and we saw it drop right in front of the right fielder, number 11. I believe that is Kara Gunter, I'm sorry. But great hit by Barbado and a great start for these Rockets.
Madison McKay is up. She homered her last time around. Right-handed batter against the righty pitcher Whitney. The first pitch on the way. Inside and in for ball 1. Inside and low, I should say. So we begin 1-0. It's 14-14. We're in extra innings, top of the 8th. Nobody out, and the runner on first for Toledo.
And Maddie Weaver is the right fielder. My mistake. Whitney is number 11 on the bump for these Cards.
Whitney, she sets it up. The pitch. It's a grounder that goes foul on the left side. We're now even at 1.
Would have been great for Mandy Louth if that could have stayed in. Be potentially able to turn that to Mulholland at second, who could bring it to Gibson at first. Nice little double play, sucks the momentum out of the Rockets, but unable to stay in on that foul line, and now it's a 1-1 count.
Wind blowing heavy out to right field. Whitney's 1-1 pitch on the way. Goes with a fastball inside and low for ball 2 on McKay.
This hasn't been a great start for Ella Whitney, but at the end of the first game, I was able to listen to Hella Pena's talk to her team. And one of the things she said is, what's so great about this team is that they find ways to win even when the circumstances aren't optimal.
The 2-1 pitch is inside at the knees to McKay. A 3-1 count. Yeah, Ella Whitney, it hasn't been an issue. The command really hasn't been an issue up until these last couple of games against Toledo.
She's certainly been lights out for most of the year. In ERA under 2, it still is, but gave up 8 runs in the first game against Toledo. Not too great of a showing. Fortunately, Ball State able to win, but here she is with 2 runners on already, and we're just 10 minutes into this contest, Roen.
Yeah, the 3-1 was high and away to the right-handed batter, McKay. So nobody out, top of the 8th. Runners on first and second for Toledo. And up comes the 9-hole hitter and Peyton Abley playing third base today for the Rockets. All in all today, she is 1 for 3 with a walk and a quick circle visit with Helen Pena and Ella Whitney. The infield also convening with the catcher and Gabby Evans on the day. Dylan, what do you think is being discussed in that meeting right now?
I think Whitney just needs to reel it in. She's okay. She's a great pitcher. But there's a lot of circumstances that can make this not optimal for her. We talked about the wind. Maybe that's a little bit of a factor with those close pitches. We Cabby Evans is the catcher, who doesn't have as much chemistry as Whitney has with Michaela Timmons. The two of them have worked so well together, and now bringing in a new catcher, calling pitches, there might be a little bit of discourse between the two of them. It really could be anything. Whitney could be tired from pitching a complete game yesterday, and frankly, I don't blame her. That's a difficult task for this team. It could be all sorts of reasons. What we know now, though, is she really has to reel it in, or else the Cardinals are going to find themselves down pretty early.
Eliza Maloney, right-handed batter in the box for Toledo. Runners on first and second. First pitch on the way, she shows bunt. Pulls it away, it's a strike found on the high outside corner. We begin 0-1 to Maloney. Maloney, in game 1 of this series, hit her first home run of the season. And for that matter, her first home run of her collegiate career. Last season, she was really only a pinch runner for the Rockets.
Got to do it against a Mid-American Conference team and kind of a rival as of these past few weeks with the Ball State Cardinals. I mean, the women's basketball team losing in the MAC championship to this Cardinal squad. Baseball won 2 of the 3 games against Toledo. These two have seen a lot of each other. Not only these programs, but these schools have seen a lot of each other in these past couple weeks, and Toledo has not been on the good side of it more times than not.
As we saw right there, a bunt on the left side advances in the runner. However, Maloney out at first. Abilene now in the box with 2 in scoring position, 1 out in the top of the 8th. Whitney winds it up. Goes inside, finds the inside corner at the knees of the right-handed batter, Abilene, who today is 1 for 3 with a walk to her name. No 1 count with 1 out. Abilene looking to clean up the bases with 2 in scoring position, looking to give the Rockets yet another lead here in extra innings. 0-1 pitch. Smacked on the third base line. Louth collects, sends it to first. Got her. Runners stay put at second and third, 2 away here in the top of the 8th.
And that's exactly what the Cardinals wanted. Not a great situation, but now you're 2 outs. What you want as a Toledo Rocket there is to get some sort of contact and that runner at third to be able to come home. Unable to do so there because the grounder went right to Mandy Louth. So great positioning for the Cardinals. That's why we saw the infield so close, anticipating that grounder that can hold the runner, but also get that batter out at first.
First pitch to the lefty, Enriquez is in the dirt in the opposite batter's box for ball 1. And what has not been said about Eli Enriquez so far in game 2? She is 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs to her name. The wind is in her favor, blowing out to the right, the left-handed batter. 1-0 the count. Whitney looks down, sets it up, releases. Fouled back just above the backstop. 1-1 the count. So it's 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 away here in the top of the 8th inning with 2 in scoring position for Toledo. We are all knotted up at 14 extra innings here in Muncie on a very windy, cloudy day. Whitney, the wind up and the delivery. Smacks it into left field, gets through. That brings in 1 run for the Rockets. They have taken the lead. Eli Enriquez, her 3rd RBI of the day, 15-4.
Great hit, just be able to just get by the glove of Mandy Louth into Ashley Lovett in left field. Someone who doesn't normally play left field, able to make the throw there, but now you've got runners on the corners. It leaves a lot of opportunities for this at-bat.
Sydney Griffith into the box for Toledo, All-MAC first team last season. You know she is a threat. Righty on righty, runners on the corners, 2 away in the top of the 8th. The first pitch. Unable to bite it on the outside. It's ball 1.
Standout second baseman leaves this team in batting average.
Batting .359 going into this game. 9 RBIs to her name, looking for a 10th with the runner on third. Whitney, she sets it up. 1-0 delivery. Goes inside, catches the inside corner, however, for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Toledo has taken the lead in the top of the 8th, 15-14.
We saw yesterday and a little bit of today now as well how good Whitney is when she can get ahead of the count early. On an 0-1 count, that's when we saw her the first out today, and that was the tune that she was playing most of yesterday. 2-1 count now for Whitney. Hopefully she's able to recover from that, but when she gets behind, you can tell there's a little bit of nerves from her.
1-1 misses low. 2 balls, 1 strike from Ella Whitney over to Sydney Griffith. Whitney coming in from Florida International. Her 2-1 pitch. Low and away, misses yet again. 3 balls, 1 strike. However, she walks Griffith here. That means bases loaded for one of the best power hitters on this team in Kendra Vanderlucht.
That's a big concern for these Cardinals right now. You have to be able to get out of this inning right now, because if you face Vanderlucht, it's not an optimal matchup for Whitney, who's already rattled.
3-1, she's able to bite it on the inside. We have a full count at the plate for Sydney Griffith and one of the biggest pitches of the contest so far. Ella Whitney decides the Cardinals' fate potentially right here. Do we continue on with the Cardinals only having a 1-run deficit in the bottom of the 8th, or do we continue on with the top of the 8th? We find out now. 3-2, belted deep, left center field. Baggett just tucks in on the wall. Rockets bring in 1 run. Enriquez rounding in. There's another RBI double, clears the bases. Toledo has blown it wide open, 17-14. Wow.
What an RBI double from Eli Enriquez. Now it's 17-14. When we were just looking at 14-14, we talked about how the Cardinals might have the momentum just because they're having fun. It's hard to be all smiling right now when you're down 3 so quickly. Looks like a visit to the mound right now as these Cardinals have to regroup.
Sydney Griffith, the RBI double, bringing in Enriquez. Now you get Kendra Vanderlucht, 17-14 our score. Vanderlucht on the season, 2 home runs. However, traditionally she has more power, 292 average. This is a very tough out, just like most of the top of the order is for Toledo, Dylan.
Yeah, the batting order wasn't too optimal for these Cardinals, but now here comes Vanderlucht with a runner still in scoring position after Enriquez was able to get 2 on that at-bat.
Whitney's first pitch. Gets it on the top half. 0-1 to start us off, and like you said, that's one of the keys, getting ahead in the count early.
And that pitch was beautiful. Just off speed, change up, right down the middle, just enough to make Vanderlucht stay an extra beat. Amazing way to start this count.
The 0-1 pitch. Leaves it foul on the left side, a slow roller. An 0-2 advantage already for Ella Whitney.
That's true, but Vanderlucht was pretty early to that, and we saw in that swing, she's going for it all right now. We talked about how good of a power hitter she is. If she could get another 2 on the board right now, there's not much of a better situation you could have for Toledo, and she looks ready to bring it.
0-2 gets the chase down low, swing and a miss. They tag her out at first, and that'll do it for the top of the 8th inning. We head into the bottom of the 8th, where it's do or die for the Cardinals. They look to walk it off potentially. They trail 17-14. We'll be right back. You're listening to Ball State Softball on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie.
American Pest Pros is the official pest control partner of Ball State Athletics. We protect your home or business and guarantee year-round protection from insects and pests. Ask about our Ball State special, available to all Cardinal fans. Our pest control program is the safest and most effective in the industry. Even if you tried a different service and it didn't work, we'll fix your problem, guaranteed, or your money back. Visit AmericanPestPros.com. That's AmericanPestPros.com. And don't forget to ask about our Ball State special.
Ball State fans, who needs batteries? Your locally owned Battery Masters have batteries for cars, boats, golf carts, cell phones, watches, key fobs, pay-per-go toys for kids, and more. Bring your rechargeable batteries back to life for drills, shavers, dustbusters, and more. All Ball State fans receive a free battery checkup. Just mention Charlie Cardinal. Battery Masters is conveniently located on the corner of Walnut and Centennial, next to Mini Trista. Check us out online at batterymasters.com. Go Cards!
Ranked number 2 in the nation for sports media by the Broadcast Education Association.
This is Ball State Sports Link.
Back from Ball State Softball Stadium, it's bottom of the 8th, do or die. Cardinals trail 17-14 to the Toledo Rockets. I'm Roen Elbert, joined by my good friend Dylan Budd. And back in the circle for the Rockets, it's Kylie Graham. She started game 2, was taken out for Sophia Knight. Now back into the game, and Haley Urban leading us off for the Cardinals. It's interesting to see that change, but the Rockets opting to go with Graham, who initially started the day going into this game with a 4.3 ERA. left-handed pitcher against a righty batter in Haley Urban. Urban, the redshirt junior, having a career year. She looks to be the hero here. First pitch. Takes it on the outside, just bites his own for a strike, however. 0-1.
Graham didn't have that great of a day for the Toledo Rockets. In 6.1 innings pitched, she gave up 10 runs, 8 of them earned in 7 hits, 9 walks, just 2 strikeouts. Uncharacteristic of her, who had 22 on the year coming into that game.
0-1 goes all dirt on the inside to the right-handed batter, Urban. 1 ball, 1 strike on her to lead us off in the bottom of the 8th. Urban, like I mentioned, a career season, batting .288 going into this contest. Before that, had never batted above 200 in her collegiate career. 1-1, smacked the shortstop, Enriquez. She sent it to first, got it. 1 up, 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. Toledo, they're 2 outs away from winning this one.
And Graham, her opponent's batting average coming into this was .259 with just 1 home run allowed. Ludicrous numbers from a really good pitcher. At one point, that was 6th in the MAC. It's not adjusted to these past 2 games, but clearly showing that she's got what it takes to be a really great pitcher in this conference.
Now Mandy Louth, the former Avon Oriole. First pitch, catches the inside corner for a strike on the right-handed batter, Louth. Louth, a transfer from George Washington. Last season, she was one of the best freshmen in the entire A-10. She made the all-freshman team, was A-10 Player of the Week at one point. 0-1 on Louth. Here it comes. Up high and in. 1 ball, 1 strike to Louth, who on the season batting .204. She's been pretty solid overall with the glove, especially in that bottom half of the order.
That distribution by Graham looked like it was in for a strike, but can't really see from up here. Louth, good to have her back home. Obviously an Avon High School Oriole, like you said. Got a lot of Avon students that are athletes here at Ball State. You've got Mandy Louth, Alana Springer is in that mix as well. A lot of Avon athletes.
2 balls and 1 strike as that one was in the dirt to her. Here's the 2-1 pitch. High and in, and it nailed her on the elbow, just grazing her. If you blinked, you would have missed it. Louth, she takes a trip to first base. Now up comes another, as we were talking about Louth in the HCC with Avon, another HCC alum in Maddie Weaver, who played at Franklin Central in high school.
She's the one that's been standing in right in the top of the 8th, averaging .224, slugging percentage just .328, but an OPS of .671. 5 RBIs of her 15 on the year came against Lehigh in February 22nd.
As that one is a grounder over on the third baseline, just going foul to Avely. Avely sent it to second, but it just went foul on her. 0-1 the count, as that would have put Toledo just 1 out away from winning this in the bottom of the 8th. Again, Cardinals trail 17-14. Graham's 0-1. Popped up, right field, under it, caught by Maloney for the 2nd out for the Rockets. Toledo just 1 out away here in the bottom of the 8th as they lead 17-14.
Weaver's ball just had a little bit too much pop, and when it went up with this wind, starts to drift towards right field. Great catch by Maloney. Now the Rockets are 1 out away from getting out of here with a win.
Now Maya Peterzak back at the top of the order with Louth on first, 2 outs. Cardinals looking for a 2-out rally potentially, but still it would be an uphill climb. They trail by 3 runs.
Peterzak isn't a bad option here on the mound. Statistically, she's one of the best batters on this team outside Michaela Timmons, and she's someone at the top of the order at the shortstop position. You know she's going to be fast, so if you can get her on base and get her moving, there's not much that can stop her.
That one was inside for ball 1 on Peterzak. The 1-0 pitch bounces up, gets behind the catcher, and Barbado. Louth takes a free trip to second. 2-0 the count, and now a runner in scoring position for the Cardinals.
Breaking ball looks like it just went off the toe of her cleat to go onto the backstop. Able to advance Louth on a 2-0 count, optimal spot for Ball State.
Peterzak, 13 RBIs on the season, looking to make it 14 potentially. The 2-0. Takes it just outside for strike 1. 2-1 count on Maya Peterzak. On deck for the Cardinals, pinch hitting, playing left field as well, coming in for Michaela Timmons. It's Ashley Lovett who got her first reps in an at-bat just yesterday all season.
All MAC selection last year. I don't know if it was an injury or something otherwise, but yesterday was her debut. I'm surprised it's taken this long for her to get some playing time.
Nonetheless, great to have her back. 3-1 our count.
Looks like an injury. You can see a brace on her left knee.
Kylie Graham sets it up. Big time pitch coming. Low and away, misses. Peterzak takes a free trip to first base with Ashley Lovett, who get her first reps all season yesterday. Now she's looking to be the hero here.
What a great story it would be. Ashley Lovett coming back from a detrimental knee injury, 2 runners on, having a big-time hit, big-time play to keep these Cards in it.
Wouldn't you love it? The pitch. Smacked over to Enriquez, the shortstop. Says it the third, that will do it. Eli Enriquez is ridiculous. A sliding effort at shortstop over to third base. The Rockets are in the winning column. They take this one 17-14. We are done with game 1.
And that's the first road win for these Rockets, as we talked about in pregame. Huge for the program right now, being able to come back, win something on the road, and gather a little bit of momentum, especially now that we have another 7 innings coming our way. It's some momentum to ride on.
Well, Dylan, I think we may have just broken a record for the quickest live stream in Ball State SL Digital history. But I have to ask you, what can the Cardinals do to bounce back in game 2 of this doubleheader?
Well, the first thing you have to hope for is Michaela Timmons is okay, and Michaela Timmons is starting. We've seen, even when she's not batting and hitting a ball, she's been walked every single at-bat besides that 1 home run. It's an automatic runner on base at this point. And even if she's not batting, she brings such an impact to this team. They want to play for her. She makes the teammates around her better. That's the number 1 hope. The second hope is your pitchers have to dial in. Whitney, has to be pretty tired after a long day yesterday and a little bit of action today. Severino didn't have too great of a day either yesterday. Who do you go to on the mound for these Cardinals?
That is the question that we will find out. Who will be in the circle for the Cardinals? Who will be in the circle for Toledo, for that matter? You'll find out as we return for game 2. For Roen, Elbert, and Dylan Budd, thank you for tuning in for game 1. We'll be right back with game 2 of action. You're listening to Ball State Softball on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. Muncie, we'll be right back.
This has been a production of SportsLink Digital Radio.